Awesome. Awesome. Well, welcome and thanks everybody for joining today. My name is Mike Condon. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development here at HomeWell. And super excited to have Rob Rister with us today. He is, see, I screwed it up already. I screwed it up. See, in my head.
I got your head, didn't I?
You did. Rob is with us from Lexington, Kentucky.
There you go.
And, he's been in business how many years now?
So actually, we're celebrating our third year in business next month. Yeah.
So excited to have him on our call today. Really, the purpose of this is just to give you an insider look at kind of a day in the life of what it's like to be a HomeWell owner. Obviously, Rob has gone through the training, kind of the startup, and is really in that, going into that third year right there of really being on the precipice of growth, or really growth now that the business is kind of getting more mature. So excited to dive into those topics today. If anybody does have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box below. We'll get to those as we get towards the end here. But really, let's dive in from the beginning, Rob. Just a brief background about you and how you ended up here at HomeWell, if you don't mind.
My wife and I, Dee, we were looking to go into business together probably about 4 years ago. She's got a medical background. She's a doctor, advanced practice nurse, and I had a management insurance background, teaching. So we wanted to marry our two backgrounds, and that's what we did. We started investigating 3 or 4 different business opportunities, and it just kept coming back to home care. My mom was in the home care business about 40 years ago, and kind of had a little epiphany that, hey, maybe that's the direction we ought to go. So we started looking into it and, interviewing several franchises because we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I think for us, that was the important part. When you want to start a business, there's a lot that goes into it. And I just didn't want to reinvent everything and try to build it from scratch. So the franchise route seemed to be the best for us. And I'm glad we did because it gave us the structure that we needed to get up and running.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, we interviewed the franchises, and HomeWell was just a great fit for us. I love the brand name. I love the logo. The people at the corporate office are terrific. I know them personally. I feel a connection with HomeWell because it's not big enough where they forget about you and you're just a number, franchisee 468. No, it's not like that. So it's a little bit more intimate. I appreciate that because I feel like I could pick up the phone and call any of them in Texas or anywhere the leaders are in the company, and they would take my call and talk to me. So that's extremely important to me when I was looking at HomeWell.
So you guys came in, and obviously you had a little bit of medical background with your wife, so knew a little bit about the industry, maybe not specifically about home care. Mm-hmm. Can you describe when you came in, a little bit about the training?
The training?
Yeah, but also we get asked a lot about is licensure. How was that process for you when you came in?
Okay, for the licensing part, we got started right in COVID, and I mean in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, it was to the point where the people at the corporate office at home was like, "Hey, are you sure you want to do this right now?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, hell yeah. This is there's chaos everywhere, so there's opportunity if you look for it, right?" So we decided we're going to go ahead and forge through this. Well, that was a trying time, not just for new business owners when COVID hit, but also at the corporate level at HomeWell. Here they are trying to navigate, trying to onboard new franchisees, owners and so forth. And I thought they did a terrific job with what they could do with the training part of that. We did a lot of the onboarding and training through Zoom, and they did a great job navigating that because Zoom was new to about everybody at that time 3 years ago. But the training process is very helpful. I did come in, frankly, with a lot of knowledge about that silver tsunami and retiree issues of long-term care. I spent 20-some years as an insurance broker, and long-term care insurance was a big part of my business. So I knew what was happening. I knew what was coming. So it just seemed like a great fit with HomeWell. And the training, they had the modules, and they just have a good training process set up. Again, it goes back to being a new franchise owner. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I wanted proven programs, systems in place that could help me be successful. And that's what they've done since day one. I mean, they just got good programs in place and training. And it's interesting because as we went along this journey with them, they're improving this training programs as we go. And it's fun to watch. Yeah. You know, they're doing a great job with the training programs now.
Yeah, a lot different than when you even started, you know, less than just at 3 years ago.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So what did year one look like for you as you started in this business versus what does it look like today? Obviously we know it changes, right? But right, in your, you know, how you've kind of built your business, what did it look like then versus what does it look like today in year three?
Okay. Well, I remember, you know, in the beginning, you know, you think you know what you're getting into. I'm going to go into the home care business, right? I'm going to help people at home and all this stuff. Well, it quickly became apparent to me that I'm in the recruiting business just as much as I am the home care services business. Okay. I kind of liken it like the chicken or the egg, to be honest, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Does the clients come first or the caregivers come first? You know, it's one of those things. And I quickly realized that we're only going to grow the more caregivers we have, because I tell people all this all the time is, look, in my lifetime, it's always been harder to get money in business than to give it away. I can give it away all day long. The home care business is the opposite of that to me. I have families lined up, honestly, to give me money to help take care of their family member and their loved ones. Can you please help us? Can you do this, right? So I can get the money in the home care business. The issue and the biggest challenge is giving that money away quick enough to the caregivers, right? So it's a labor issue. So that first year, we're trying to navigate and get our mind wrapped around, okay, I thought I was in the home care business, you know, and just kind of flip that switch. No, I think I'm going to be in the recruiting business just as much, if not more. So that first year was that learning process. And then now today, we're more heavily leaning on recruiting than we are client acquisition. You know, most of my resources that I allocate is for recruiting more than hunting and chasing a potential client, because that's the other thing. When you first start that first year, okay, nobody knows you're in town. Nobody knows. But as you go in business a year, 2 years, now 3 years deep, you know, we have a really good reputation in our community here. And I'm proud of that. And that's all of my staff, 100% of my staff. So we get those referrals now. Well, with those referrals, we have to have caregivers. So that's why I'm leaning heavy on the recruiting process. I have a full-time recruiter. It's all she does. She works in the office and she works 40 hours a week, and her job is recruiting caregivers all day long from 8 to 4 every day. And she even has an assistant now to help out with some of the admin stuff.
What was that like in the beginning as you went through that? Because again, I was equated to, there's two hamster wheels running all the time, right? There's the client recruitment side, and there's the recruiting of caregiver side, because they have to go hand in hand.
Yes.
So what was your office, I guess, what was your team makeup in the beginning? And obviously now it's evolved to where you have a full-time HR person, but what did it look like in the beginning?
Okay, in the beginning, you know, it was me and another lady by Michelle Dunn, our operations manager. You know, she started with me from day one. She's still with me, does a tremendous job. So it was just her and I. And it became pretty apparent to me that I knew very little about the home care, caregiving aspect of home care, right? I was going out, I was doing assessments and so forth, you know, and I wasn't speaking the language. So as we were recruiting caregivers, I identified one particular lady, and I elevated her to be a care manager because she spoke the language of caregiving. She saw things that I didn't even dream of thinking about. You know, you have a form to do care, you know, do assessments. You have the form, you ask these questions, right? But it takes a true professional in that business to dig deeper than that form. And that's what she gave us. So it started out, me and Michelle, then we hired a care manager, and I highly recommend that off the bat. Have somebody help you do your admin stuff, because you're busy as a new home care franchise owner with many hats. So you need somebody to help you with that onboarding process of caregivers and clients, the paperwork, compliance issues that you have to face. And then the care manager came in and she spoke the language of the client and the caregivers. Our caregiver recruiting got better because she was doing some of the interviews with us. All right. So again, she could connect with them. And that really took us to the next level. From 0 month, first month into like month 5 or 6, that's when I started seeing an impact by having somebody in that role that could connect with not only the client, speak their language, but also the caregiver. And that's grown, as time went on, then it became apparent to me, I need to do more networking, right? I need to do more networking. So I recruited and brought in a lady and made her my community outreach director. And it looks a lot like the stock market. You start up a little bit and you might drop down. And then I hired her and then we started taking off again. Community outreach director. And basically she did all our networking for us with the hospitals, the nursing homes, done assessments. I mean, there's a lot of things that she could do. And then when I brought her on, that was the first year. That completed the first year. So after year 1, operations manager, care manager, and community outreach director. That's year 1. That's what I had. Okay. And that's when I was like, you know what? I'm starting to put people in places. So what I need is a recruiter to help me recruit. So that's what I did. I hired a full-time recruiter. And that again took us to the next level. Okay? Yeah. So much so that I needed to have another HR or admin assistant to kind of pick up the pieces where they needed support.
Yeah. So obviously when somebody comes in, you want to start small, you don't have any revenue yet, right? Unless you're walking into this business with a lot more capital than probably necessary. Right. And you're willing to hire all those pieces. I think one of the lessons learned is you don't want to overhire, but you also don't want to underhire, because as you mentioned, as a business owner, you're running in 1,000 directions when you're getting a business off the ground. I don't care if it's this business or any other business. Right. So you have to have the right resources and you have to do what you're good at. As a business owner, I think that's where a lot of things get lost. So it's interesting how you said it's gone in year 1, you evaluated and added pieces that added value to where you saw your team growing, but it added a lot of value to your business.
It's just a matter of scaling your business as you need it. In one of the first meetings I went to with HomeWell, I met a fellow, we were just talking. He said, look, find something that in your business that you don't like to do and hire someone to do it that likes to do it, right? And again, care manager part, right? I didn't like to do it. I wasn't very good at it. Talking the language, I found somebody and boom, she was great at it. Yeah. The networking the same way. So that's how that worked out.
So what does your day-to-day look like today? So you have a good staff of people now. So what does your day-to-day look like?
Well, what my day-to-day looks like is more of a chief executive officer. I oversee all aspects of the operations and give support and guidance and direction where I want it to go, where my vision is. I liken the home care business to sports. I'm a big sports guy. I love sports and football in particular, but where I'm at is kind of like a head coach of a football team. I have assistant coaches in place right now. I've taught them and shown them how I want them to do their role, and I stay out of it. I let them go, and I just pop in and do, checks with them. Are we measuring? Are we getting where we want to go in recruiting? Are we getting our satisfaction surveys on home care pulse? Or how are we doing there? So I oversee all the operations as far as my day-to-day. I may be talking about recruiting today, and then tomorrow I might be talking about why are we converting our assessments into clients? What's happening there? Where are we dropping the ball? So it frees me up to do more of just one thing.
Yeah, and I think again, that's not where it starts, but I think that's the goal where people want to get to, and that's the opportunity in this type of business model. Is it is scalable where you don't have to do everything all the time. And frankly, we don't want you to do everything all the time, because that's that's not where you're best utilized, right? To your point, that to being the head coach of the team and being able to kind of step in where need be.
Mhm.
That's where we want you. Do you feel we talk a lot about the business coaches and how they're kind of your right hand as you go through this journey. How do you feel they've helped impact your business, or maybe not in that sense? I guess you could go that way too. But do you feel they've helped you kind of look at your business in a different light at different periods of growth?
Oh yeah. My franchise business coach right now, or consultant, is Brad Heminger. Great guy. Love working with Brad. We bounce ideas off each other all the time. It's kind of like iron sharpening iron. What ideas can he bring to our franchise that I can utilize and make us better, and vice versa. I'll give him ideas that maybe it's working for me and he can spread it with other people. So it does bring a lot of value having that person that you can talk to about your day-to-day operations. As far as the support, there's not been one time I've reached out to Brad or anybody in the HomeWell office. I didn't get a call within hours. They're always there to support, and I appreciate that. Even I'm in business for going on my fourth year now. There's always things that pop up. I didn't think about that. So you need that person to bounce the idea back and forth from. And that's where the franchise business consultant coach comes into play.
Yeah. Yeah, I do feel that's been a tremendous resource, having to get to know a lot of our owners and a lot of them in different spots, right? You're going to need it more in the beginning than you are as you continue to grow,
Right.
But it still can be of value, as you just stated from that instance.
You don't feel like you're you don't feel like you're on an island. That's the main thing. And it's what I love about the model here is that there's their support, but there's no micromanaging.
Yes.
I got into this to be in business for myself, to sink or swim myself, right? But there's no micromanaging of it. Brad will check in with me. We do the weekly phone calls, monthly phone calls. We talk, frequently, but there's no micromanaging. I think that if you're in business for yourself or want to be, that's with HomeWell. It's a great marriage because they let you have that freedom, but they have that life preserver of knowledge when you need it.
Yeah. And it's a mentor. And I say that in a sense of somebody you can go to with questions that can help get them. If they don't know the answer, somebody does. Right. And I think, talk a little bit about the ownership group of HomeWell. I think one of the things we're really proud of is the culture of owners that we have. And I got to experience it firsthand at our conference this year, myself for the first time. I was really impressed with how well owners collaborated on a lot of different things, and it's not only did they have fun together, which I think is one part of it, but when it comes to business idea sharing and to your point, not on an island. I know you talk a lot with other owners about that as well, but for the audience, can you explain a little bit about your experience with the culture of the other owners?
Yeah. What I found, I feel personally that I have a moral obligation to share knowledge with people. If I have it, it's my faith. It's not my knowledge. It's coming from a higher being. Okay. So I want to share that knowledge with people if I can. Okay. So I found that this was a good match for me, the HomeWell brand, but also the franchise owners, because they in turn would share information with me as a new franchise owner. So I felt really attached to the brand and to the ownership of franchise owners immediately. And it became clear to me probably about the first 6 months into the business. I'd done a few telephone calls, of course. I actually went and visited and spent a day at a HomeWell franchise in the area in Cincinnati and watched them and how they ran their business. I think that's crucial. If you can do that as a business owner or new business owner, go visit a branch and watch them for a day and put yourself in the guts of the operation and see if you can see yourself in it. That 6 months into it, I'd heard about a program a fellow out in Arizona was running. His name's Michael Rowley, successful guy with us. And I called him up, say, hey, listen, I'd like to come out and learn a little bit about what you're doing. He said, please do, come on out. So he made time for me and spent a day with me and opened up his business and his mind and shared knowledge with me about how he grew his business and what he was doing at that particular time. And I was really excited and appreciative of it. I actually brought that knowledge back to Kentucky, tweaked it a little bit and implemented it. And it made a lot of difference, a huge impact on our business. But if he didn't open up and share, that wouldn't help me at all. But and now it's not just him, but there's been several other people that I've reached out to if I had information that I needed. In Florida, when we expanded, we have a franchise in Melbourne, Florida, in Brevard County. I reached out to the ownership there in Tampa, Christy Castro, and I asked her about the licensing process, what that looked like. And she was tremendous help to me, giving me, again, sharing knowledge with me, and let me take that knowledge and do something with it. And I was very appreciative of that. And that made the licensure process go a lot smoother.
Yeah. For Florida is always a unique challenge here. It can be.
Right. But without sharing knowledge with each other. Yeah. And I think that's I think that's unique to HomeWell. We don't feel like I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep this knowledge to myself. I'm not going to share it. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it is unique to HomeWell. As I've seen a lot of different franchises, I do believe that it is a unique opportunity for people to get in and be able to have that backing of not only the franchisor of part of our job, but also other owners that want them to be successful. They truly believe that. Right. So last thing I kind of want to dive into, and you touched on it. So you have multi-territories and they're in 2 different states.
Right. Actually, we're in 3 states now.
3 states, yeah, for Indiana as well.
Yeah, we're in Kentucky, and then we just went up into Indiana and got a secured territory there, and then we have the business in Melbourne, Florida.
So how are you managing it? Like walk people through that, because that's a very common question we get, right? Can I do this if I don't live there? Talk to me a little bit about how you're managing it, how that developed, and what does it look like?
I want to tell you, it goes back to the sports analogy. I'm the head coach. I have hired in all locations. I have hired good people that can share my vision and execute what I want them to execute. That's how I'm able to do it. You can't be everything to everybody, but what you can do is find people that share your vision, share your drive, and show them what you want to do and get out of their way because you hired them. All right. So let them show you why you hired them. And that's how I'm able to do it. In particular, in Florida, we have a terrific lady down there that's just helping us just grow there. She's a terrific asset to our organization. Same way in Indiana. I just hired a great lady up there to oversee what we're doing. And then, of course, here in Lexington, I have a tremendous staff. So it all starts with, it's not me doing it. I can't do it all. Doesn't matter if it's 1 location or 10, it doesn't matter. You got to have good people with you. Yeah. In the culture that I've created, I say because I talk about it all the time, is that when I hire people, they don't work for me. Okay, they work with me. Mm-hmm. And that's the word in our culture, in our organization we talk about. We work with each other. So hire people that share your vision and teach them what you want them to do and stay out of their way, and they'll help you.
Yeah, that sounds like my last question. What advice would you give somebody? And it sounds like you summed it up right there, right? Hire great people, lead them, and then get out of the way and let them do their job, right?
always get a kick out of the people you hire them. Then you want to micromanage them. Well, then you don't have confidence in hiring them to begin with.
Yes.
Right? So have confidence in yourself. You're going to fail. Listen, failure is a part of life. That's no different in the home care business. We fail, on a daily basis, we fail, but we succeed more than we fail. And what does that mean? Well, we fail hiring caregivers. We don't get the right fit. We lose a client, but we win more than we fail. And that's where you want to be. You want to get to the point where you're winning more than you're losing. And my advice to anybody getting into the home care business is this, okay? This is a marathon. When you get in this business, this is not a sprint. It's just not. If you're going to measure your success in 6 months or year one or year two, you're going to be disappointed. You got to have a long-term vision, and that's what I would be. Just be patient. It's a marathon. My thing is if you help as many people as you can get what they need or want, you'll get what you need or want, so stay with it, stay in the grind, because it is a grind. Mm-hmm. But I've said it before, there's no more moral or ethical business that I've ever been a part of in my lifetime. Basically what we're doing is we're taking people that need jobs or want jobs. They have hearts to care for people. Okay. And on this hand, we have families that desperately need help with their loved one. They don't have the skills to take care of them. They don't have the knowledge. And we, HomeWell, home care owners, get to bring these two people together and marry them and manage that process. And let me tell you something, it needs managed. Okay. I can't imagine what it would look like in this country if we didn't have home care agencies managing caregivers and clients. It'd be a disaster. So every night when I go home and I look in the mirror, I feel really great about what we've done, created jobs that didn't exist. We're caring for families in 3 states, so I'm really proud of that.
Well, as you should be, and we're proud to have you on our team. As we've gotten to know each other, Rob, it's been a true honor. And I can't thank you enough for spending some time with us on a Friday here to go to share your story with everybody out there, as I think it's a great testament to what we're trying to do here at HomeWell. And I look forward to doing many more of these and hopefully seeing you here in the summertime when you come up to Michigan. So I appreciate it. It doesn't look like we have any questions that came in. I'll just pause for a second and see if there's anything that anybody wants to ask here before we wrap up.